What's up, guys? Saf here on SuperSaf Speaks, and welcome to episode number 6 of the podcast with myself, your host, SuperSaf.
And your co-host, Thunder E from Border Work.
And today we will be talking about Xiaomi's new Mi Air Charge true wireless technology. I mean, we're talking no cables, no pads, wireless charging through the air, which is very exciting. Google Stadia closes in-house game development studio. That's been a new news topic that's just popped up. Jeff Bezos stepping down as Amazon CEO, something that just hit very recently. Face ID may finally work with a mask. There is a bit of a catch, but we'll be looking into that. And we'll also be talking about the Samsung Galaxy Buds Pro, which I have on with me right now. I've had them for about a month, and so has E. So we'll be giving our full thoughts about using the Galaxy Buds Pro for a longer period of time. And we're doing something new as well on the podcast. We did put out a poll on Twitter and Instagram. Not a poll, actually, a question. Just for followers to submit questions, and we will be featuring a follower submitted question towards the end of the podcast. If you have been enjoying the podcast, then please do leave a rating on Apple Podcasts, and if you're on YouTube, then be sure to subscribe and hit that like button to play to the algorithm. Right, so firstly, let's talk about Xiaomi's brand new Mi Air Charge technology, which seems pretty insane. So now I'm gonna break down some of the key elements of this new technology. It's a charging base. It looks pretty large, and it can offer up to 5 watts remote charging. And the way it works is it's a system of 144 antennas, and they transfer energy in the form of extremely narrow millimeter wave beams. Now, it can support multiple devices. You can also still have devices charging if you're moving about, and also when something is in the way, which seems very, very interesting. So we've had this dream of true wireless charging for some time. We have wireless chargers. I'm sure everybody does. I have so many across my house, and they still need that physical contact. So some argue that it's not truly wireless because you still need to have that physical connection for the charge to go through. But we've kind of seen lots of concepts of this, true wireless technology, but it looks like Xiaomi has finally cracked it.
Have they, though?
This is the thing. So they've showed this technology off, but they've not actually gone into any details about when or if this will ever be available. So it seems very much at concept stage. It seems like they're showing off their R&D. I mean, it seems like they do have something that's actually working and they can show off, but whether or not that's ever going to be available to consumers, that's a big question mark.
I mean, yeah, it definitely is interesting with the way the technology is set up. A couple of things that kind of come to mind is, number one, it's millimeter wave is what they're using. But number two, it says without anything in the way. And, what we've been told about how millimeter wave works is if my hand's in the way, nothing is going to go through.
Exactly.
So then also, again, there will be undoubtedly health concerns, just the idea of power flowing through the air as opposed to flowing through cables or a line or something. So it's going to take a while before we see it. It might come out, and it's cool to see stuff like this though in general, which means that the idea is once you walk home, you open your door, your phone's charging. That's the general idea, in that sense. And then you don't have to think about, if you placed your phone by the coffee table, you're watching a movie or TV show, and then you have to run out. You have to go like, I didn't charge my phone. It's already charged.
It's charging.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're going to bed, for instance, and you maybe misplace your phone on your wireless charger or whatever, that's not going to be a problem because it's wirelessly charging. If you're gaming, it's wirelessly charging. Now, there's a few things that I kind of want to talk about here. You did mention the health concerns, but it seems like, so from what we've seen from Xiaomi, the way it works is it actually, I mean, it's not just giving out lots of beams. It's you have to have a device that's compatible. So from my notes here, it says the receiving device will have to have a receiving array of 14 antennas. So that's the first aspect, that not only will you need to have this very big charging unit, but you're also going to need a device that has this compatibility, which is definitely not going to be mainstream. So it's not like
how many antennas again?
Charging.
14
antennas. Now they are pretty small, but they're going to have to be embedded in whatever device that is. Now, this device doesn't necessarily have to only be your smartphone. They are talking about lots of smart home appliances, speakers, etc. that could also be wirelessly charged in this way. So that's the first thing. So you're going to need a specific device that can do it. Now, Xiaomi haven't specified exactly what the range is, but they've said several meters. So we're kind of thinking it's room distance, right? Mm-hmm. And the way it sort of works from what we've seen in the demos, well, from the concept videos, is that it kind of detects that receiving device and it beams over this millimeter wave signal, which then transfers the power, right?
So I'm thinking Bluetooth LE as well. So it's at least just for that quick connection to say, hey, I'm here, send me power type of thing.
Potentially. So it's there, and then it kind of finds that line, and then it starts beaming the power. And if you're moving around, it kind of, changes the signal to that direction. Now, you mentioned health concerns. So, I'm sure people who are the conspiracy theorists who absolutely hate 5G right now, they're going to be like, burn it now. Because this is using millimeter wave technology as well, right? So that's the first thing. I mean, I'm sure they've done lots of tests and research behind it, but I think that's something that a lot of people will be worried about, because when you have a wireless charger, you place it on the charger. I mean, it's contained, right? Now this is potentially going to be going through objects, potentially passing through people. It raises lots of questions, and a lot of people are going to be concerned. And I think even if this was to be mainstream at some point, I think the adoption, obviously, there's going to be lots of concern around that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, to me, it's not, even I myself, it's just a concern of passing power through the air, especially, in a distributed format. It's not like a point to point where I go, okay, it's cool that I have a speaker here and my power is there, but it's like a line of sight and I can keep it in that corner. This is supposed to work with me throughout the house. So like I said, those concerns would be there. Like you said, passing through people or passing through objects is another thing. Then again, it could be all safe, which is fine. But I think it just has to go through a lot of rigorous testing, first of all, before it gets out.
Yeah, and right now, I mean, they've said 5 watts. You can charge multiple devices at 5 watts, but 5 watts is the base charging that we've seen for many years. The old iPhone brick is 5 watts. Obviously, we're used to much faster charging, even wireless charging. We're looking at around 15 watts. So that's another thing, that the charging rates at the expense of the convenience that you're going to have, it is going to be pretty slow. And the other thing as well is efficiency, I think, because we know that having wired charging is much more efficient than wireless charging, because just the way the technology is now. When it comes to efficiency, I'm sure this is going to be way low down the scale of efficiency compared to traditional wired or even Qi wireless charging.
Oh yeah, it's going to be highly inefficient. Let's put it that way. We are not at the level of Star Trek technology yet, but I do like I do like the effort. I do like the idea of that power transfer that is wireless. I think to me, what this means is, what I like about this technology, and I would like to see, is being able to beam energy from one spot to another. So, you always hear the sci-fi concepts, or, even some just, science concepts of, capturing solar energy from the moon, and then how do you transfer it back, right? If you could actually beam energy, then you can definitely beam me to the planet.
So
You can also use it as a weapon, by the way. Just saying.
now we're going way in the future, even past expanse, because we're talking about a Dyson sphere basically. So we're talking about harnessing a lot more energy from the sun. Right now, any energy that comes to the Earth obviously has to go through the atmosphere and stuff. Whereas if we have solar panels in space, floating solar panels, we'll be able to harness a lot more energy. How do we transfer that energy? Well, we'll speak to Xiaomi in a few hundred years.
Exactly. Xiaomi is already beaming charging.
Xiaomi's already leading the way. I mean, I just want to say that, hats off to Xiaomi. They do lots of innovation, and we love seeing innovation in the market. Yes, this is kind of like concept stage. Again, there is question marks about whether this will be available or not. Xiaomi has done lots of concept devices, and we've seen lots of things come from Xiaomi which haven't necessarily made it to the market. It's just kind of showing off what they can do and they will be doing in the future. So maybe in, I don't know, 5 years time, we'll be seeing this technology advance and we'll be seeing it in more places. But at this stage, it's just nice to see the innovation.
Yeah, I do agree, but this is also the first step to teleportation.
Hey, I mean, come on, it's 2021. We still don't have hoverboards. Come on, it's not good. We need to be moving technology at a faster pace. All right, now let's move on to the next topic, and that is Google Stadia, which is Google has decided that they're going to be closing off the in-house development studio. Now, when it comes to Google Stadia, I've tested it out, but I'm not somebody who's used it extensively. My man, has actually covered Stadia in a lot of detail, as well as lots of other gaming content on your channel. So, do you want to kind of break down what has actually happened and what implications that has?
Yeah, so Google announced, I believe, a day ago that they were shutting down their Google Stadia in-house studio. Now, a lot of people took this as the beginning of the end, because with Google's history, whenever they start doing this with any of their services or devices or what have you, it means it's the end, the beginning of the end. But what's also really more shocking is the studios. The first culmination of the studio was October of 2020, roughly 3 months ago. So they just opened up the studios, and now they're shutting the studios down. So which means, from a lot of speculation, I think what was going on is Stadia had a bad rap when they first launched. I was one of the people who gave them a bad rap because of connectivity, the data usage and all that stuff. Right now, Stadia runs absolutely fine as long as you have a good connection. If you have a good connection, when I mean by good connection, I would suggest 75 megabits up and down. You should be good to go. So the big thing was Cyberpunk 2077, and they were hoping that would be the big push for a lot of people to get on Stadia. And also the fact that it was one of the few places you could play the game with very little issues as well. If you played on PC, you were fine. If you happen to able to get yourself an Xbox Series X or PlayStation 5, which is hard to, then it was fine. But everybody else had, PS4 or Xbox One X. They had issues. So they thought that would be the big push. But here's the main problem was always with Stadia is that you had to pay for the service, at least the premium service, which is $10 a month. It's $10 a month. But the other aspect is you have to buy the games at full price. That was where the issue is. So for someone who already if you're a gamer, you either have a console or a gaming PC. You don't want to multi-buy these things. Paying $60 twice for something is too much. So I think this is where they are looking at that. And I was in a Clubhouse room yesterday with some gaming heads, including some of the guys from Microsoft, Larry, I can't remember his last name, a few other people. And we talked about Stadia. One of the guys there said, it looks like Google is moving towards a technology play, because now their technology works. And some of the game developers in there talked about how, not necessarily Stadia, but they use services like Parsec, which is what I use when I want to remote edit, to allow people to review games. So instead of them sending you the game, right? Because of course you could even if they send you a download link, there's a possibility it could be pirated, especially if it's just in early development stage. So it's a service like Stadia where you can host the games on their server and then send it out to reviewers, and they can just play and stream immediately and go, okay, this works, this doesn't work, da da da, and for beta testers as well. So they talked about that, the fact that the technology now is a proven fact.
Yeah.
That maybe, and in my mind, I think Google is probably looking to shop and sell it as well. Maybe even looking to someone like Microsoft. Again, this is just me putting that hyperbole there because because Microsoft has Game Pass. Game Pass is great because number one, now you don't have to buy a game anymore. You just have to subscribe like Netflix, and you have access to over 200 games or 300 games if you're on the console. On your PC, you have access to about 150, 200, and on mobile, it's over 150 games. So that synergy there, the only difference is when you're streaming on mobile, there's load times, just like you were playing. Stadia doesn't have those load times. So I think this is where they're trying to go. They're probably, I'm just guessing that they're probably looking around saying, hey, Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, maybe even, here you go. Although I mentioned Nintendo, somebody laughed and told me, it's like, look, Nintendo's made so much money of selling us their original Mario on every single system they've released. There is no way they're going to make it a streaming service.
That's true. No, it's interesting because I just remember right now. So, in the UK anyway, Google had an offer. This was back in December, where if you are a YouTube Premium subscriber, so this is where you pay £12 a month and you have access to YouTube Premium as well as YouTube Music, then you can claim a free Google Stadia controller, right? And I went ahead and claimed it, and I'm sure lots of other people claimed it as well. Does that hint something? Does that now they were practically giving these away, right?
Yeah.
And now this announcement comes. Is that more of this beginning of the end, or is that them playing a different strategy?
I think that was, especially because we had something similar in the US too. It was through different partners like Verizon and things like that. I think they were trying to make that holiday push. They were trying to get people and be, because it's a smart strategy, because during the holiday you're trying to buy an Xbox or PlayStation, you can't find it, and they're like, here's Stadia.
So it's like,
but here's the part that they didn't have. They didn't have a subscription to it to go with it. Because if you said here's Stadia or here's a free controller, and just pay $20, and then you get all these games, I'll be like, okay. I mean, that's kind of cool. Like, that saves me the stress of looking for a new console, buying the games and things like that. Because in the market right now, there are currently 4 streaming services. We've got Xbox Game Pass, which I described earlier, where of course it's subscription by Microsoft. You can play the games across your PC, your Xbox, and your mobile device. But also again, you can buy the game separately if you wanted to. But why do that, right? Then you have Stadia, where you have to pay for Stadia Pro for certain features, and you have to buy each game. So it basically just racks up in price. Then you have GeForce Now, which is one a lot of people love, but developers kind of screw them over, because GeForce Now was one of the best services out there. It basically was NVIDIA saying, hey, we'll create a PC in the cloud for you. You pay to use that PC in the cloud, and then you can install any of the games you bought off Steam, which is a huge platform people buy games off, or Epic's game store, or any of the various game stores. Because it's a PC, you just install the game store on the cloud,
as you would do,
and you play your games. And as gamers, we're all like, oh my god, this is great. So now because as a PC gamer, you're like, yeah, I got a laptop, but it's not as powerful. But if I just log into GeForce Now, I can.
Yeah, you've got the.
Yeah, and again, I own those games. And again, for a lot of PC gamers, we've bought those games. I mean, I have games I bought since 1999 that are on there before they even started the service. This is that's why a lot of people love it, because before they actually had a service, as long as you registered your games, you automatically download it. But developers said, no, we want part of that money, so we're not going to let you access. And people are like, I bought the game already. I'm just borrowing somebody's PC to use it. And then finally, we've got Amazon Luna, which Amazon is in the beta stage. Amazon's own service has 2 stages. They have one where Amazon will give you games to play. And then second is Ubisoft has its subscription layer. So they've got channels. You can subscribe to the Ubisoft channel and you get access to all the Ubisoft games. So a lot of people are thinking Stadia might go that route because it allows them to have subscription services that people can jump into, except how many things are we going to subscribe to? This is the age-old problem.
So many subscriptions now. It's just so many. So, I mean, do you think Stadia still has a future?
It's Google. It's dead in my mind. I as much as it's really good, I think just going by the pattern of the company and some things they shut down, I think we're going to see that slow decline to it. Or unless, of course, they come up with a different model in here and say, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is how you have access to games. Because the thing with gamers is, I remember we had a clubhouse when I think you were in that room where we had Paris, who was the game guy, and then I made fun of Viper, and I said Viper was one of those people who never liked Game Pass until he got an Xbox Series X, got Game Pass, and he's like, oh, this is great because I don't have to buy those Xbox games. I'm like, that's what is missing from Stadia, the ability to be like, oh, okay, I can jump right in without spending extra money.
All right. I mean, so let's see. So it's interesting news, but this is why I've got E here, because my man's a gamer much more than me and can really drop that knowledge on Stadia. So let's see how it goes. Right. Now let's talk about Jeff Bezos.
Big Daddy.
AKA Lex Luthor. So I actually got an email from him this morning from Jeff Bezos, and the subject line. I actually got this email this morning. I'm not messing around. You can see it here. The subject line is reply urgent. Okay, I'm gonna read the email out here. Dear my good friend, I'm using this opportunity to thank you for your great effort to our unfinished transfer of funds into your account due to one reason or the other best known to you. All right, I'm going to skip some of it and I'll go on to the juicy part. I want to compensate you and show you my gratitude with the sum of 800,000 United States dollars.
Man, he's generous.
I know. He's just literally just stepped down and he's already giving his money away. Okay, so obviously this is a scam email, but it was just so funny. Like this whole news of Jeff Bezos hits, and then this pops into my email. Now I think whoever is sending this scam email obviously probably knows what's going on in the news and thinks by using the name Jeff Bezos, it's going to get through the spam filters for a lot of people. So yeah, I've not replied to it, but I will leave the address for anybody who does want to claim this 800,000 US dollars. But I mean, let's we'll get to the serious story, which is Jeff Bezos stepping down as CEO of Amazon, and he will become executive chairman. A move he said would give him time and energy to focus on his other ventures. And I mean, this is at almost like 30 years he's kind of been in this game, and
27 to be exact.
Yeah. So I mean, coming towards 30 years, it's been a long time. He started Amazon in his garage. We've seen those pictures, where he's kind of got that set up, and you've got Amazon on the wall, and really started from the bottom, literally started from the bottom, and now he's stepping down as CEO. Does it really make that much of a difference to the day-to-day of Amazon? It doesn't seem like it.
Nah, not at all. I think
because he's still going to be heavily involved as the chief executive. Executive chairman.
Not heavily. He will be involved in the key matters. If there's a big shift or big, if Amazon's going to go into new industry, stuff like that, the board has to decide on that kind of stuff and go like, okay, yeah, we'll do that. At least not decide, but at least give blessing and some guidance to the new CEO.
Give his blessings. Yeah. You have my blessings.
if you will.
This is the way.
Yeah, what I found interesting was a lot of people found it shocking, I guess. Or maybe it's because, he recently became the richest man in the world and got overtaken by Elon Musk. But, he's also been more in the limelight over the last couple of years, and it seems like he's about to disappear. I guess maybe that's what people are looking at in some.
I mean, it was a bit of a surprise, right? Nobody was expecting this just to drop yesterday out of nowhere. So I think it was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, I do agree. I mean, the cynical side of me, which I usually usually do, always goes, this is perfect, and it makes the most sense because number one, Amazon is going to be vying with Apple as one of the biggest companies on the planet. Now, Apple has a lot of good graces with a lot of people. Amazon is teetering on that edge because there's always talk about how Amazon treat employees, employee pay, those kind of things. When I mean employees, I mean the people who are more on the ground level in the company as opposed to, mid-level execs. So there's some of that. And I think, my own thing is, look, he still owns stock in the company. He's one of the highest shareholders in the company. He's still on the board there. So why be the face, especially if Amazon is moving in a different direction or might be going to certain directions that might make people likely afraid just because the company's eating more territory.
So here's what I think. Blue Origins, he's seen Elon Musk in the news a lot recently, right?
Yeah,
and Elon obviously is making lots of progress, especially when it comes to Mars with SpaceX and everything. And I think he's thinking, you know what, it's time to step up the Blue Origins game. And I absolutely love that because the space race, the new space race, for me is something that's super exciting. And I think him now, from what he said, which was, I quote, give
Blue
him
Origin.
more time and energy to focus on his other ventures. And obviously he does have other ventures. He's looking at sustainable energy and all sorts. But I think Blue Origins is the one that's, it's one of the key ones, right?
Oh yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I mean, there's a lot of big government contracts there to be made. That's the cynical side of me again, sorry.
Hey, maybe he's going to work on those on the Dyson Sphere to harness the energy of the sun.
Yes.
There we go.
Yes.
He saw that Xiaomi article and he's like, all right, I need to make this into a bigger scale. No, but it's interesting. Obviously, he's a very, very smart man, and it will be very interesting to see what he now spends more of his time on. I think we're going to be seeing a lot more in the way of Blue Origins, and the space race is really going to be going forward in the next 5 to 10 years, I would say.
Yeah, I do agree, but I think it's good to see fresh faces and hopefully different people. I mean, again, we've seen the big tech companies. We've got Tim Cook. We've got Satya Nadella in Microsoft. Google as well. So it's good to put some fresh blood, new, because again, there's new direction, new things for these companies, and maybe even just bringing some of the things we care about personally, because maybe this is somebody who's walked through the company the same 27 years, but came from a very poor background, and they're like, we want to focus on certain things. So again,
yeah,
new blood is always nice.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll see how that goes. So I believe this was on the first episode of the podcast. We had a whole conversation about Touch ID versus Face ID. Now, the sort of basis of this conversation was Face ID in 2021. The time when everybody's wearing masks, obviously Face ID is not ideal. Now, of course, Apple heard that podcast episode and, took it very seriously and have proposed a solution for us. Okay, so that probably didn't happen, but obviously it's been something that a lot of people have been talking about, and Apple has now come up with somewhat of a solution. So just to highlight this article here from Pocket Lint, it's around iOS 14.5, which is now out as a developer beta for those who have access, and will be publicly available over the coming weeks. iOS 14. Now, there is a catch. So yes, Face ID will work when you have a face mask, but there's a key thing that you need to have, something that you don't have, and that is an Apple Watch.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Technically, it's kind of like a cheat because it's using your Apple Watch. So Pocket Lint say here, Apple tells us that Face ID works just as you would expect with the new software. Your Apple Watch will give you some haptic feedback to let you know your iPhone has been unlocked. This is similar behavior to using the Apple Watch to unlock your Mac, which has been available for some time. Once again, your watch will need to be in close proximity to your iPhone. This process will work with Apple Pay too, so you don't need to remove your mask when you're stood at the counter. So, I mean, okay, there's a couple of things. I know what you're going to say. They're just trying to sell more Apple Watches.
No, actually, no, I wasn't going to say that. But go ahead, continue.
No, so I mean, obviously, people are not going to just go and buy an Apple Watch purely for this, but I think it's positive because now, I mean, I've been in that situation many times. I'm in the supermarket, I've got a mask on, I want to check my shopping list. I pull out my iPhone and, I'm just like, oh, and it's just one of those things because you're so used to it, just unlocking straight away that I'm just like, okay, I have to. I know it's totally a first world problem. I have to put in my password. How dare I have to put in my passcode in my phone? You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it is one of those things. It's inconvenient. I've got the Galaxy S21 Ultra in my other pocket and I can just tap the fingerprint scanner and boom, it's unlocked, nice and easy, unless I'm wearing gloves, of course. But that is one thing, and obviously the ideal solution to it is to have both both Face ID and a fingerprint scanner in one device. That would be the ideal because then you're covered for all situations. However, Apple now has seen this from consumers who are now struggling with the whole mask situation and have provided this somewhat solution. I've not had a chance to test it as yet. I've not got the beta. I generally don't tend to download betas because I do use my iPhone as one of my daily phones, so I don't like being on a beta. But I think it's definitely a good move, and I think a lot of people will like it.
Oh, sorry, I was supposed to say something.
Yeah, I mean, what are
I'm
your
just
thoughts?
joking. I mean, to me, it kind of goes back to what I actually wanted to say originally was options. Something Apple doesn't give its consumers is options. And when the argument years ago came up with Face ID versus fingerprint, it was safer. It's more secure. I'm all for that. I really am. I'm just saying, just give me more options because sometimes fingerprints, the pin, different scenarios. We never knew COVID was going to come, but here it is. I like the idea of using the watch. I think this is something they should have done actually much sooner than this. I just kind of looked at it as it's taking longer. Again, as you mentioned with the article, it's something you can do already with your MacBook. So I just kind of saw it as being, okay, finally it's here. I would just suggest don't run out and buy an Apple Watch if you don't need to use an Apple Watch. That's just my own.
I mean, that would be quite a hefty investment just to be able to unlock your phone when you've got a mask on. So I'm not sure how many people. I'm sure there will be some people, but I'm not sure how many people will be doing that. But I'd love to see the statistics because obviously the Apple Watch is the most popular watch in the world. Full stop. Not even like talking just smartwatches. It's the most popular watch, and a lot. I'm not saying all, but a lot of iPhone users do have an Apple Watch that goes with it, and for that large number of users, they'll have this option. Now, it's not going to be switched on by default. It is something that you're going to have to choose to switch on once you have the update, which will be coming in a few weeks, I believe. But yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's a good thing. But I still want Touch ID on the next iPhone.
Same here. I just want more options.
Options. It's all about options. Galaxy Buds Pro. So these are wireless earphones that Samsung released alongside the Galaxy S series, the S21 series, and they are the flagship wireless earphones from Samsung with active noise cancellation. We initially covered our first impressions. He's actually done lots of testing with them. I'm not somebody who necessarily does earphone reviews. That's not really my area. Maybe I'll do them in future. But I thought because of all the questions that people have been asking, I thought let me kind of break down my thoughts on the Galaxy Buds Pro and also getting E's thoughts on being an audiophile. If you're watching this in video form, you'll see all of the collection of earphones that he has in the background. So we can get a bit of his expert opinion as well. We'll break it down into a few categories. So we'll talk about the sound quality, the active noise cancellation, the fits, the design, battery life, price. So we'll try to cover as many things as possible. So I'm going to start off with the sound quality. I think it's actually been very good. Like overall, I'm not somebody who's an audiophile, but for me, I think they do sound really good, and I really like the fact that you can customize how you want your music to sound via the companion app, the Galaxy Wear app that you have. So you can kind of go in and tweak things if you have a certain preference. You are the audiophile, my man. So what are your thoughts on the sound?
I mean, I think it's good. I think for its price point, and I always like to clarify that it sounds good. You've got some good EQs to play with. I do wish there was a custom EQ. So you can mess around it a little bit more to give whatever flavor that kind of fits you. But I think sound wise, it does a really good job. But that also depends on probably the next thing you're going to. For me, it depends on the fit, which
Yes.
I have to kind of go to some explanation on that. But sound quality is still pretty solid.
So coming on to the fit, these do actually stay in my ears, and I've had these on throughout the podcast so far, but I've had to make a few little adjustments every so often just to kind of just they might be slipping a little bit. I have very weird ears, and I've said this before, not many earbuds actually fit in my ears. I would say I did prefer the fit of the Galaxy Buds Live. They kind of were very different because they didn't sit inside your ears. They kind of hooked into the inner of your ear without actually going into right into your ear. And that's something that I really like because I found them to be very comfortable, but also they would stay in more than a lot of other earphones that I've tried. What has been your experience here?
The fit for me was, it was a battle. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
What I mean by battle is because I have one earlobe or ear that's smaller than the other, so I usually use different sizes. But then I realized that I actually reached out to Samsung for this. They have a different design for the ear tips. The area that goes into your ear is much wider, even though it's still the same size, but the inner circumference is much wider to give you kind of better sound. But it doesn't help with the fit because it's also a softer fit compared to, see, the Galaxy Buds Plus. Now, the Buds Plus had that really nice tight fit, that had some good isolation. So this doesn't. So I actually had to normally I would use like a medium on my left ear and I'll use like a small on my right. But I had to use the largest one on my right. And then I had to use just weird sizes. And I also had to play with that fit properly because that was the only way it was able to give me the right isolation for ANC. So I had to play around with that. I know a lot of people just don't have that time. Again, I was doing a review, so I was going through the process. So
that's interesting because I was seeing some feedback from a lot of people. So on Twitter after I posted about the Galaxy Buds, and some people were not really having the best time. So if you are having a bit of a problem, then play around with the different ear tips that you get and see what your best fit will be. And that kind of brings us on to the next part, which is the design as well as the active noise cancellation. So the first thing I want to talk about is one thing that I really liked about the Galaxy Buds Live was that the design was unique, right? Yes, they look like beans. I agree, but what I really liked about them was that there was nothing else that looked like them. So the design was very different, and as I was saying, that the fit was quite nice on the Galaxy Buds Live as well. The problem was because they didn't go into your ears, the active noise cancellation on the Galaxy Buds Live was pretty much non-existent. As far as I found, it would let in a lot of the outside noise. And I think this is one of the reasons why Samsung went with this design for the Galaxy Buds Pro, because now you have more of a seal which should give you better active noise cancellation. Now, I can definitely notice the active noise cancellation, especially compared to the Galaxy Buds Live. But after doing a few tests and taking these out and putting the AirPods Pro in, I still believe that the AirPods Pro have better active noise cancellation. And that's my opinion. What would you say?
Buds Live are better, slightly, very
Slightly.
slightly. And the only reason why is because of the fit I mentioned. Because when I first used them with my just the normal sizing I usually go with, I was like, this is not good. This isn't
Interesting.
because for them you must have a seal. Like it's the same thing even with the AirPods Pro. So my AirPods Pro, I do not use the traditional tips that come with them. I have Comply foam tips. They sound better for me and also have a better seal as well. And the ANC is much better because of those tips. With true wireless buds, tips are golden. If you mess them up, you might as well just throw it out the window at that
Okay.
point. So that's why I said yes. But because I think I'll put it this way, because of the annoyance of the tips, I'll agree with you that it's the AirPods Pro because you don't go through that the kind of hassle that I went through, and most consumers won't waste that time. So, in the right settings, yes, but because you're gonna pick it up, you might change it once or twice, but after that, you're not gonna be sitting around and playing like, does this work? No, does nobody
No, you
nobody
don't have
does
to do that.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
No, because
So
I did
yeah.
spend some time playing around with the ear tips, and I think I found my perfect fit, which was medium and small. But I guess I need to play around with things more. But my problem then is that if I do get more of a seal, then I'm not sure how much they'll stay in to my ears, right? Because then the fit might counter that, because then they might start falling off because they're. So this is the thing. Whereas on the AirPods Pro, from what I noticed, I mean, as I said, the active noise cancellation is definitely noticeable, and a few people were saying on Twitter as well that after the most recent update, which I have done, it's supposed to be improved. I didn't really notice much of an improvement, but again, when I do kind of compare, I mean, if you're just kind of listening, you're not really going to notice. But if I was like, okay, I'm playing something in the background, I'm doing a scientific test where I'm going to put these on, I'm going to play the exact same track at the exact same volume on the AirPods Max, and then I'm now going to play it on the Galaxy Buds Pro. What is the difference? To me, the AirPods Pro do have better active noise cancellation based on my experience. But from what he's saying, if you do find the perfect fit, then you will get better active noise cancellation.
Yeah, I mean, I wish Samsung went back to the fit and style of the Buds Plus. I think that was just much better. I know there were some people complained that it was a bit too tight, but I was like, look, I'm sorry, it fit in my ears, it didn't go anywhere for a lot of people.
I will agree
That
with you.
I think that would have been the best choice. I think they were trying to play around to be happy, like find the happy
Kind of
medium for
meet in the
everybody.
middle. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
and they
seems like
just
it.
they just didn't hit it well enough on that aspect. I will say though, one thing I do like about the Buds Pro and Samsung Buds in general is feature sets.
Yeah,
The feature called Talk to Speak, I think, or I can't remember the exact what the name of the feature is, but it's
I'll find it.
once you
Yeah,
start talking, the
that is
volume
very cool.
drops down to like background, like background lounge music levels, and then the ANC also turns off. You have the ANC on, and it goes straight into ambient mode, and you can have a conversation. And once you stop, it continues. Except slight downside though, not if you're like me where you start humming or singing to your music, then it stops.
Then it's just like, okay, yeah. So it's called voice detect. It's a good feature for sure. What I do like about it is you can just switch it off. If it's something that's not for you, the option is there to
Yeah.
switch it off. But we talk about options all the time. I do like the fact that you do have that option there, and yes, it does work well in most situations, but
Too
it
well, maybe.
can, yeah, too well. I mean, I've not had a chance to test that out too much because there's not really many people to talk to right now in lockdown, so it's kind of like I've just switched it off personally. So I went for a walk yesterday and I had these on, and I didn't have voice detect on, but for me, testing the active noise cancellation was, all right, how much can I hear the cars going past, and it was, I mean, I could hear them quite a bit. Now obviously to the point of safety, yes, but just, I'd like to have a lot of that sort of cut out. Now, one of the other things is, like, for me personally, when it comes to fits or a fit of any earbuds, I always have to readjust them every 5-10 minutes or whatever. Just kind of like, just move them around a little bit, just kind of get that fit after you've been walking around. One of the things that I absolutely hate about the Galaxy Buds Pro, which I've not really experienced on many other earphones, is whenever I readjust them, so far I've cut off 3 calls. So I've been on a phone conversation, and it happened to me this morning as well. I was on a phone call, and we'll come on to the mic quality in a bit because it is very good. But yeah, I'll just like readjust something, and I'll be like, hello, and I've cut. And I was, a few people were saying, oh, then just touch off touch controls. It's like, no, that's not the point. I want to have the touch controls because if I do want to, if I do intend to cut the call off, I want to press it. If I want to skip tracks, if I want to play or pause a track, I want those touch controls to be there. But any little adjustment and things get disconnected, I think they need to work on that. I don't know if they can improve that with software, or I believe Judner in his review was talking about if they could have like an area which is just for the touch, but like the outside isn't, or something like that, which would solve a lot of that. That's something that I've definitely experienced. Have you had that issue?
No, I haven't. It's funny you mentioned that. I actually have that issue with another pair of true wireless buds that I'm testing right now.
All right.
It's funny because you mentioned it, and I was like, yeah. I had one where I took it off and I put them in my jacket pocket just because I didn't know which exact controls were to pause. I mean, like, I know it just pauses when you take it off. So I put it in my jacket pocket, and then the audiobook I was listening to started playing again. I was like,
what's going on here?
What's going on? Yeah. But with the Buds Pro, I haven't had that issue with it. I think no, they can customize it because with the Buds Plus, the Buds Plus actually has two touch zones in a sense. So this, the center tap is, the main controls, and then right above that, they have the experimental controls where if you tap on the very top, you can increase the volume. You tap on the bottom, you can decrease the volume. So I'm sure they can turn off those zones, and then you just have the center zone as well in there. So I think it's possible. I think we'll the way they designed the Buds series is that everything is fixable via software. Because remember the original Buds, the sound was not that great, and after 4 software updates, people are like, this is not bad.
Yeah, and they do release lots of software updates. As I said today, got another software update on the Galaxy Buds Pro, so they are trying to improve. And one of the things that I do like the Galaxy Buds Pro for is for phone calls. So that's one thing that I think a lot of people sort of discount when they don't really kind of in a lot of reviews as well, it's kind of washed over, which is phone calls. And I use my earbuds now, especially during lockdown, for phone calls a lot of the times. And I think the mic quality is actually very, very good. And we've had multiple conversations and it's been absolutely fine. So that's another pro, I would say, on the
I agree. Yeah.
Galaxy Buds Pro. And the battery life, I mean, you've got roughly about 5 hours on the buds themselves. And then with the case, you've got 18 hours. If you are using active noise cancellation, if you're not, then it's like 28 hours or something?
It's 28 hours. If you're not using ANC, then with the buds themselves, it's 8 hours battery life.
So
it's
very good. I mean, for wireless earbuds, very, very good. And that's something that I can't fault it. You've got wireless charging, so you can just drop it on a wireless charger. You've got USB Type-C again. So and it's 5 minutes of charge will give you about an hour of listening as well. So
yeah, on
that side of things, absolutely fine. I don't think anybody's going to have a problem. Let's talk about the price. So in the UK, they're actually coming in at £220, which is, I mean, if you look at the AirPods Pro, for instance, the official retail price is £250, but realistically speaking, you'll be able to pick them up for about £230, depending on where you kind of, where you shop for them. So, they are definitely at that, here in the UK anyway, at the AirPods Max level. I believe in the US they're for $200.
Yeah, $200 here in the US. I think Samsung has now decided that in all categories they can price the same as Apple. or at least very similar. With the phones, we get it. That's always been go for go. But with this, there's always been some disparities there. And I think they can. I think also with the launch of the AirPods Max, kind of gave them that little boost of saying like, yeah, we can do it, because also we own an audio company. So it's not like we're making something that's, crap in the first place. So I think pricing wise for me, is it justified? I say yes, but I still say they need to fix a few things for people, so that at least the full justification, comes to bear.
Now, I mean, they were actually bundling these in for free with a new S21 Plus or S21 Ultra pre-order, which was a steal in my opinion, because if you're getting these with a new smartphone that you've ordered for free, then I mean, it's a no-brainer, right? That offer has now ended. I just had a look on Samsung's website, and now they give you the Galaxy Buds Live. So they've probably got that
still
stock. Still a good deal. Still a good deal. And they are, again, very, very good earphones. But that if you manage to get the Galaxy Buds Pro with your S21, 21 Plus or 21 Ultra, then I think that was a very good incentive, and it was a very good deal to get these very good quality overall earphones included with your new smartphone.
Yeah, I agree.
So overall, we'd say we like the Galaxy Buds Pro. They will be my primary earphones for, I'd say, the next few months. So yeah, thumbs up for us from that. Now we've got a new section to the podcast, which we'll be doing this for every podcast now. Before we shoot the podcast, we'll put out a question on Twitter and Instagram. So if you're not following already, make sure you are on SuperSaf Speaks, and we will pick a question from one of the followers. So today's question is from Junaid, who has asked a very good question actually. What would you sacrifice in a mid-range phone? Camera, processor, build quality, or something else? That's a very, very good question. It kind of reminds me of one of the videos that Marquez did, where he kind of talked about, a point system, and it's like, okay, you've got a budget phone, you need to make cutbacks in a few places. So, the iPhone SE, for example, you've got a really good processor, you've got I would say a premium build, you've got good cameras, but you've got an old design with a very old display, right? And that kind of like brings it down quite a bit. But again, to meet that budget level, that's what they kind of have to do. You have to make sacrifices in certain areas. So out of those three, I would say for me, the people who are watching this on video form, you'll see that I've got a speaking case. This is not sponsored, by the way, but I've got a speaking case on my S21 Ultra, and I'm somebody who uses cases. So for me personally, build quality is something, I mean, as long as it's a good build, as in like generally, it's not like, you've got any gaps or anything, but as long as, I mean, if it's, I think generally when people are referring to a premium build, they're talking about the use of plastic. Now, I generally don't mind if there's a plastic back, such as on the S20 FE, or even now the S21. How about you, E?
Oh, I absolutely agree. I think build quality is some way you can cut back because you said it quite clearly. We use cases. I mean, I know you said you use cases. I can almost guarantee that about 90% of phone users have a case, sure, or at least at some point in time will use a case on their device. So I think that's where you can really make some cutbacks and go to some trusty old polycarbonate that will give you somewhat sometimes better protection depending on what level of Gorilla Glass you're going with in comparison. So to me, I think that's a good place because when you look at that list that was sent in terms of things to cut out, camera is one thing you cannot cut off now anymore. It's part of our vital, day to day. Nobody, at least we came from the age where our parents had cameras, like they bought physical point and shoot cameras to take us,
times.
or even the wind up ones, the old Kodaks you could wind up and
Yeah,
take
you
and
go
then
click and then
drop exactly drop it off at the drugstore.
good times.
Now it's it's your smartphone. So I think yeah, build quality is the part, because as long as you have a case, and with the plastic build quality, you can actually have some really fun colors that actually give a different statement to what that device is as well.
I mean, yeah,
So
it's easier, I'm assuming, for manufacturers to have multiple plastic color options. But there is a few things here, like when you mentioned the cameras, I think with the likes of the iPhone SE that came out last year, as well as the Google Pixel 4a, for instance, you're bringing some very high quality, well, very good, reliable cameras to budget devices, right? And this is where it kind of really changes things, because traditionally when you used to get a budget phone, you just knew the cameras will be trash. Like it's just
yeah,
that was just a given. It might have multiple cameras, right? But a lot of those cameras are not going to be something that you're going to ever use, right? But that was one of the traditional things. But I think now, I think the Google Pixel 4a is a perfect example, because that was my go-to recommendation. I still recommend it. A lot of people ask me, which I've got £350 or $350. Which smartphone should I get? And the easy recommendation is the Google Pixel 4a, because yes, it's got a plastic build, but it's got everything else is pretty good. Yes, it might not have the best processor, but it's got a very, very good camera, especially for that price. And I think that's quite important. But one of the things I do want to mention for build quality is the OnePlus Nord, because that was quite interesting, the approach that OnePlus took, because although they went for a glass back, they went for a plastic frame rather than a metal frame. Now that for me, because I believe in Zach's bend test, it actually failed because of that plastic frame. So I would say plastic back, sure. Plastic frame, if it's enclosed properly, like you've got on the Google Pixel 4a, for example, that's fine. But if you've got a plastic frame with a glass back, then it's not going to be as durable. So yeah, there is a compromise, of course.
yeah. I think OnePlus were trying to be, I wouldn't say cheeky, but it was a bit cheeky as what they were trying to do there. I think companies need to go back to, if you really want to cut back into some of that expenditure, you should go back to some of the things that Nokia did with the Lumia series. That was all fully polycarbonate, and those things were rugged. They were, right now I'm sure you can style them a little bit better too, but I'm saying that it was a cheaper method of having a solid piece of polycarbonate that actually doesn't break, and you can still do different things with it. So I think that's something that manufacturers start looking at some of these budget lines, just because it might be easier for them to say, okay, look, if we cut this down, then okay, we're saving an extra $50 off here, so therefore we can focus on other things that we want to, whether it's battery. And again, one of the cool things is we know that with budget phones, they usually have bigger batteries than high-end phones.
They do. They do. And again, like I think in the sort of, when we're talking performance as well, sure, not every budget smartphone is going to have the latest and greatest chipset, but we've seen the Qualcomm Snapdragon 7 series and, how much performance you actually get. And I think for most people, you actually get very good performance at that, budget level, should we say. Even though, you've got really good cameras, but yes, the performance might not be up there to the flagship level, but it's going to be more than good enough.
Absolutely. I think it makes sense. But yeah, I definitely like the question. I liked what, the idea that you can pick and choose and decide. So we'll see how manufacturers actually do that this year.
Yeah,
2021 has just started, right?
We'll see. It's just started. We've already had the flagships from Samsung in early, but there's lots more to go and there's going to be lots more to cover. Thank you for the awesome question. Once again, if you're not following, then please do go ahead and follow on Twitter and Instagram. It's at SuperSaf Speaks on both. And that way you can get involved in future episodes. And that's all we have time for. As always, if you are enjoying the podcast, please do leave it a rating on Apple Podcasts. If you're on YouTube, then do subscribe and get involved. Hit hit the like button, comment. We love seeing some conversation. This is Saf on SuperSaf Speaks with my co-host.
The DE from Border Work.
And we'll see you next time.